Last episode, we went ahead and made our perfect starter house, complete with all the machines and contraptions we're going to need to continue expanding our world. But, as usual, there's a problem. And I'm going to give you a guess as to what is it. Is it A, iron, B, iron, or C, iron? Congratulations to those of you who guessed. It is, in fact, iron. As with every Create world ever made, the iron situation... yeah, it's pretty bad. So today we're going to be working on making ourselves a big fancy mineshaft elevator to go down into the mines, as well as a funky little iron farm to go with it. Now, there is another big change as well in this world, which is going to make my farms a lot more productive. And that this world is on a server, which I didn't mention in the last video for some reason. I feel like I should have. But either way, this world being on a server means that I can chunk load my farms, and as long as they're all powered within those loaded chunks, they'll run even when I'm offline, which means that I don't have to AFK any of my farms, which is wonderful. I'm a busy man, you know, I got stuff to do. I got hyper obsessions with different games to play. Cough, cough, 50 hours of Valheim and Enshrouded in the last 2 weeks. Oh. But no, for real though, having everything on a server is just going to make everything so much easier to gather large quantities of resources. And we shouldn't really, once something's automated, have any issues with it. And through the use of FTB chunks, we can very easily force load chunks like this, so it's not a problem at all. Although in the bottom left, you can see we can only force load 25 of these chunks, but I think I can change that in the configs somewhere. And while I'm just changing some configs on the server, I just want to do a quick public service announcement to let you all know that the 1.20 version of my pack is now updated to the latest version on CurseForge. And alongside that, I've also provided the schematic for my starter house in my Discord in the MISC schematics tab. The links to both of these will be in the description, so if you want to check them out, please do go ahead. And on with the video. So we've increased the amount there, 5,000 claimable chunks, 500 force loadable. That should be more than enough for a long time. So one of the things I want to build is I want to make a elevator down into the depths, because at the minute my mineshaft just doesn't really exist. Every time I need to go mining at the minute, I have this really horrendous ladder here, which I always forget where it is, and the amount of times I've jumped into this ravine and nearly died is quite absurd actually. So I want to make up a building with a big old mineshaft elevator in, and I found this really cool image and I want to build that because it looks cool and I want one. Except obviously we're going to be adapting it into our kind of build palette and style, but the shape remains. So let's get building. It looks pretty good, you know? I'm actually really happy with how this is turning out. I'm a very, very big fan of these different coloured millstones and crushing wheels from Design and Decor, as well as these large iron industrial gears. They're really cool. It's not quite done just yet. I want to add like a tower onto this bit, but I got some serious builder's block and I don't really know how to do it, and I'm just avoiding it right now. So you can see we've definitely taken inspiration from that image, and I think it's turning out pretty good. And I think just to keep things similar, I'm just going to do this same block palette here with the concrete, limestone, and like stone kind of look. I don't particularly want to do more terracotta because we already have like these bright green accents with the iridium. So yeah, I think the white palette will look good here. I have limestone and stone. I just need concrete powder. I have 3. Sick. Right, so light grey dye, and we'll go pay the lobster a visit again and skim some more sand off his beach. What? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Don't tell the lobster, please. He'll be mad. I didn't do anything, I promise. Not me. I think we got away with it, so carry on mining sand. And for the gravel, we're just going to set up a little millstone here, which we can just throw our cobblestone into. Nice. Okay, so materials gathered, and a day's break later, and I actually have some kind of an idea of how I want to build this now. So we're going to start off with the concrete powder as decided before. And one of the things I want to try doing is using these corner blocks to kind of make it look like the corners have been chipped and worn away, which seems to work pretty good there. Although actually thinking about it, I might just grab a little bit of stone before we do concrete powder. And that is just to have a little bit more texture, because I imagine that it will need to be quite tall to go over this gear. We will be adding stuff like windows and whatnot to this afterwards, but I think I'm just going to get the shape and the roof done first, so we have an idea of what we're working with. And I think the plan is probably this one will be like that there. And then we'll just have it come up and then potentially into like a bit of an overhang here. Yeah, that's okay. I kind of want to see it on all four sides before I decide. Ooh, oh, okay, far too pointy. All right, never mind. Rip it down. No, my stairs. Okay, I think that is significantly better. We just got to add in some last little details and then we're done here. So with that elevator pulley now attached, a little cabin on there, I think this is good to go. I'm not actually going to dig the shaft all the way down just yet. I want to do some other stuff first because I'm itching to build this iron farm, so we're going to go do that instead. Although before I do that, I'm just going to add some safety rails because, you know, accidents are probably going to happen otherwise. Okay, so we are now out here in the testing world because I just want to show you the little contraption that we're going to be building in the iron cave. So what I want to do is I want it to be a little more interactive in the way that our farm works. So for example, this is the finished version. We're going to have an iron farm which is going to be hidden underground. And then the iron blocks will be compacted into blocks of raw iron, as once again we have spelunkery in the mod pack, which gives us raw iron from gravel instead of iron nuggets, which is pretty cool. So that when the iron farm makes a block of raw iron, what it's going to do is it's going to deposit it into a deployer down below. It's going to push up from the ground, and a little drill contraption is going to come out and break it for us. And because that's part of a contraption, it will go into this vault, which we have a handy little smart chute underneath, so when it's idle it will drain out of here, and then we can send this off wherever it needs to go, which will most likely be a crushing setup to turn it into crushed iron ore, and therefore we can wash it again into the redstone and experience like we did in the last world, because I'm not about to pass up on a free redstone and XP farm, so yeah. But it's a relatively simple little contraption. All we have is, so you can see the iron farm connects to here. The raw iron goes into the deployer, which is placed down in front of a smart observer looking for raw iron blocks. This immediately powers the piston down below to push it upwards, and then after a short delay, a sequence gear shift pushes this forward enough that it will break the block and then come back. It's pretty simple, and the miner looks pretty cool here, but I think this is just a much more fun and interactive way of showing the iron being mined. And obviously we'll be doing this all with a regular iron farm, but this will all be hidden, like I said before. And I know I said I wasn't going to dig this down, actually, but I think I might, because I think it makes sense for this thing to go underground, and we've just made ourselves a mineshaft elevator, so what better place to put it? It means I think this thing will probably get a lot more use, as we'll be going up and down a lot to get the iron. Because if there's one thing I hate in this game, as much as I love building, I don't really like building just for the sake of it. And this cave below is, this is a hellhole, okay. So therefore, I think putting the iron mine down in the mineshaft, it makes a lot of sense, like, thematically and purposefully, which is pretty cool. Okay, so if we place our elevator block here, yes, that's going to turn into a contact, and then we just pop a button there, we should be able to call this down to us. Ooh, it's kind of slow. Might need to speed that up. Alright, so there has just been an accident. I think I need to put a door on this thing because, yeah, I just walked out the door and fell to my death on my way up. Anyway, next up is to build the room. So I'm going to set myself to shapeless mode here with the hammer and just give that a smack. And that's going to clear out a lot of space at once. Love that. And I'm just going to do this at random. Until we get a pretty decent sized cave, and then we can go around and just clean up some of the edges, kind of how I did with the little starter cave area. Oh, what are you? What are you? No, that's really unpleasant. Yes, please get stuck in there. Oh, And with a little bit of digging, I think this is looking pretty good. Obviously, there's a lot of cobbled deep slate in the walls right now that I've used temporarily. I think I am going to switch this out with regular deep slate at some point, or just like mix it up and add some more texture into this, but for now this is fine. We've got the shape down. So what's next is I just need to grab a schematic and paste in the iron farm. I don't think I'm going to have nearly all the stuff to do it, but we'll find out, I guess. Ooh, that took a little while. This isn't actually, like, all for the build, don't worry. I don't, in fact, need, like, 3,500 deep slate. I just shoved it all in this backpack because it was the biggest thing I had around. But cannon is ready to go. What I want to do is I actually want to replace the solids with empty here. I want to clear out big space around this thing so we have plenty of room underneath for wiring and other stuff. Kind of like how we had the basement in the starter house up there, I want to make sure that we leave ourselves a lot of room for our wiring and stuff in all of our builds in this world. Because it may not be useful now, but in a couple days time when I need to get down there to fix something when it inevitably breaks, I'll be thankful. So there's nothing else left to do but let it roll. Hearing weird noises. What are you? Oh. What? Huh? Alright, so I got it working and I left it running overnight, and here is the moment of truth. Oh yeah. Oh yes. And you know, I'm actually really glad. I did some science before I went to bed and left this running last night, and I discovered something really odd. So earlier in the episode, I made such a point about loading these chunks and force loading them, but they didn't seem to work. When I was offline, they weren't chunk loading, so they would be chunk loaded no matter where I was in the world. If I was online, it would be chunk loaded, but the second I leave, it stopped working. So instead, I ended up having to download a chunk loaders mod, which this thing does the exact same thing, just loads chunks in the area around it. That's really strange. I'm not entirely sure why it does that. Maybe it's a config setting for FTB chunks, but definitely going to have to look into that one. But just for our farms, I think we'll probably be using these regular chunk loaders, which aren't that expensive. Just a bit of iron, obsidian, and an ender pearl, and that loads a 3x3 area. And we can upgrade these, you know, with a bit of golden blaze powder to a 5x5, or with some diamonds and eye of ender to a 7x7 area. I don't really think I'll be needing these ultimate loaders. Whenever I'm making something that I want to chunk load, I'll probably try and keep it as compact as possible and load as little chunks as possible. Because, you know, my server's good, but I don't want to be chunk loading 300 chunks. That's the recipe for disaster. But really great to know that this thing is working while I was offline. And I mean, this was only like maybe 10 hours. Imagine what this thing's going to have in it when we leave it running for a whole week or longer. But we're not quite done just yet, as having a crummy little barrel underneath here to grab the iron out of isn't ideal. I want to have a more permanent storage solution, and I want to hook it up to crushing wheels and washing so we can get that sweet redstone and XP output as well. And now that we actually have iron, I should be able to craft up this stuff with relative ease, because that's what's been holding me back most of this time. Can't lie, that is a beautiful sight. I'm not poor anymore. So for this, I think the plan is, what we're going to do is we're going to have a belt come out the back of the miner, which we're going to have to do some weird fan stuff to hook this up, but I want it to look like it's coming out the back here. Then we'll probably have our crushing wheels on this back wall, maybe at this kind of height, because what I want to do underneath here is have the washing station probably around here, and then underneath that we'll probably have our fan with a chute on it. And because this is a sophisticated chest, we'll do the compacting upgrade here again to turn it all into the block forms for us. So that will sit here and get washed, and then go into here, be compacted, and then we just need to pull it out and send it into these drawers. And I have upgraded these to diamond tier, so hopefully they should hold a good amount of items, and I can upgrade these if I need to. So if we just hook up the belt coming out the back of here, it'll probably go like to there, like that. We'll have one that goes diagonally down, and then one that comes out of here like that. super simple. And then of course we'll want to put casings on all of this just for the nice decoration. And I actually kind of want to shunt this across one more block because I want to add in a little trash can just in case we do get any overflow. So if we just slap a depot on the end there, we'll put the trash can there. So anything that gets past any of these will just go into the trash can and be voided. And then to get the items actually into the crushing wheels, I think I might actually use a weighted ejector. If you remember, because we're using iron blocks, we're not really getting them super often. So this doesn't have to be super quick either, which means that yeah, a weighted ejector should be fine. Okay, so with the weighted ejector now targeting this, I think that should be everything we need. Okay, so I think we are ready for our first official test. Oh, well, that's worked. And that's going to sit on there. Is it going to wash? That is the question. Looks like it is, yeah. And that's all gone into there. And I just need to put the compacting upgrade in, which I think I'm actually just going to rob from the washer upstairs. Compacting upgrade in. Let's just give it one more run. You're going to fling up there. Nice. Gets crushed. Nice. Washed. Excellent. Oh, and I didn't. Oh, alright. Filter's actually set now. This should work. So, just to test, I'm going to drop those in there. They should come out. And bam, bam. Nice. Oh, and our XP. Awesome. More redstone, more iron. Oh yeah, this thing is working. It's not like the most impressive factory in the world, but it sure is gonna work. And I really like the little layout that we have with all of this stuff. So overall, I'm really happy with how this turned out, and I think that's probably going to be all for today. This does mean, actually, now that I have access to all of these resources, including experience, we can finally enchant our gear. So in between episodes, I think I'm going to spend a little bit of time getting myself an enchantment table, rolling a couple enchantments, and see if we can actually get some decent tools. And I might even go ahead and try and find a mending villager so we can actually fix our tools as well. Because I keep burning through these. Like, vein mine is dangerous for my tool durability, and yeah, I destroyed several pickaxes already. So with that, thank you all very much for watching, everybody. Apologies that this one took a little longer to come out. Life has just been a little hectic for me lately, but we should hopefully be getting back into the swing of things relatively soon. But keep an eye out for the next episode, and I'll see you then. Ciao.